Once upon a time, in a lively African village surrounded by green hills and a thick, magical forest, there was a woman everyone knew. She was a big, cheerful lady called Mama Nyama. Every weekend, she'd set up her stall at the market, and the smell of her meat soup would pull in crowds from all over. Her soup was famous. It was so tasty, the meat chunks were huge, and it cost almost nothing. Even the poorest in the village could afford a bowl, and no one ever left hungry. People often wondered about Mama Nyama's secret. How could she make such good soup and sell it so cheaply? But whenever they asked, she'd just smile and say, "The forest provides." Mama Nyama's habits were strange. Every evening, she'd disappear into the magical forest with her big basket and return the next morning with everything she needed. No one knew where she stayed or what she did in the forest, but her soup was so good that people didn't question her. Then, something scary started happening. Children began to vanish. First, it was a boy from the east side of the village. Then, 2 sisters from the south disappeared. The whole village was terrified, but no one could figure out what was going on. Search teams looked everywhere, but the children were nowhere to be found. One brave girl named Amani decided to act. Amani was clever and hardworking, and her best friend, Zawadi, was one of the missing children. She couldn't sit back and do nothing. Amani thought hard and remembered the last time she saw Zawadi. Mama Nyama had called her to run an errand. That's when Amani started to suspect something wasn't right. On market day, Amani made a plan. She waited until the crowd thinned out and then secretly followed Mama Nyama into the forest. Staying hidden behind trees and bushes, Amani trailed her until they reached a clearing. There she saw a small, creepy hut surrounded by the thick forest. What Amani saw next shocked her. Behind the hut was a pen filled with the missing children, scared and huddled together. Inside the hut, Mama Nyama stood over a bubbling pot of soup. On the table in front of her was a boy, tied up and trembling. Mama Nyama was sharpening a knife, ready to cut pieces of meat to add to her soup. Amani couldn't hold back a gasp. Mama Nyama turned sharply and saw her. Without hesitation, the woman ran after Amani, who dashed through the forest, screaming for help. Her cries reached a group of villagers who were out searching for the children. The search party rushed to the scene just in time. They overpowered Mama Nyama and freed the terrified children. Back in the village, the elders gathered under the big baobab tree to decide what to do with Mama Nyama. After a long discussion, they chose to banish her to the enchanted forest forever, trusting that the spirits of the forest would take care of her. The children were safely returned to their families, and the whole village celebrated. They threw a big feast in honor of Amani, and the chief gave her a special medal for her bravery. From that day on, Amani was known as a hero, and her story was told to inspire courage in others. As for the forest, it became quieter after Mama Nyama's banishment. No one dared to go near it, and her story became a cautionary tale to teach children about the dangers of greed and evil. Life in the village went back to normal, and the people always remembered to be grateful for Amani's courage.